Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Amanda Peterson with your early childhood updates for Lunchtime Hot Topics. We're starting off today with an ask for all of you, and that's to please help us gather Kansans stories for a really powerful new tool that we have to help shape policy and programming decisions in our state. So we've been using the Our Tomorrows statewide story bank since about 2019, and the process is really simple. Kansans have the ability to respond to a really short prompt and share a brief story, the kind of thing that you might post on social media, and then answer some questions about that story. And this is actually a really powerful way for us to make sure that as we are developing policy solutions to the COVID-19 pandemic, we're doing so in a way that is directly informed by the experiences that Kansans are having. For example, earlier this year, that allowed the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund to develop a proposal to be able to connect families with access to technology and then to be able to demonstrate why that was so important. Now, the story bank is really only as powerful and really only as useful as the tools that are in it. And so we need your help to make sure that we are getting a diverse range of Kansans experiences shared in the story bank. So we have a couple of asks for you. We'd really appreciate any help that you can give in spreading the word to encourage Kansans to share their stories. You can visit the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund website there on the screen to see the homepage for this effort. You can see links here where you or somebody who you know can share a story. And if you go to our April and our May early childhood program updates on our KSDE webpage, you can even see a short sample media or a short sample social media post that you can share today. So we hope that you'll do all of those things. If you're interested in using this data to really dig in to see what people in your community are sharing, you can reach out to our tomorrows at ku.edu. There's a really powerful process where once there are 100 stories that are gathered, stakeholders can come together to really analyze those stories, look at the trends, look at the patterns, and brainstorm the kinds of action steps that a local community might take to address what's being shared. I can speak to that process. It's a really powerful way to spark excellent conversations and provoke the kinds of insights that you might not find just by looking at other types of data. So if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, I'd highly encourage you to reach out to the Our Tomorrows team to discuss what that might look like in your community. We also know that many of you are working on preparing for the services that you'll be offering this summer or next school year. In doing so, we'd encourage you to make sure that those services are listed in the 1-800-CHILDREN resource directory database. 1-800-CHILDREN is an important resource that's available to all Kansans to call, to access the website, to download the 1-800-CHILDREN KS app on their mobile device. And it provides judgment-free, 24/7 confidential information. So any Kansan can call to connect with a live person to be able to talk through an issue that they might be having. They also can visit 1-800-CHILDRENKS.org to search the database of resources. There is a really handy tool or a really handy guidebook to be able to make sure that your resources are listed correctly. If you visit the 1-800-CHILDRENKS.org website, there are options to suggest adding a new resource or updating the resource. And you can reach out to Stephanie Boone at the Kansas Children's Service League if you have questions or requests for support. A couple of quick funding updates. The Kansas State Board of Education will consider two things when they meet next week, Tuesday, May 11th. They'll consider recommendations for approved preschool aged at risk programs for next school year, and they'll also consider Kansas Parents as Teachers grant awards. Now, for preschool aged at risk, if you are one of the 34 programs that has not applied to operate an approved program, we'd encourage you to reach out to Natalie McLean. Even though the Kansas State Board of Education is considering the first slate in May, we do have the ability to work with additional programs up until next August to get them approved. So if this is something where in your community you're thinking about starting a preschool program, or if you don't currently receive this source of funding, please do reach out to our team so that we can visit about whether or not we can get you approved for this upcoming school year. This is a really important reminder that for all of our early childhood programs, whether it's Kansas Parents as Teachers, Early Childhood Special Education, Preschool Aged at Risk, or Kansas Preschool Pilot, you want to make sure that you are including those children in required kids data collections, including the upcoming End-of-Year Accountability, or EOYA collection. That submission window opens on May 10th and closes June 25th. And it's really important, particularly in districts that have a Kansas Preschool Pilot grant, to make sure that your staff who administer the grant are connecting with your staff who enter in data and who are responsible for doing that, to make sure that the staff who enter in data know which children are participating in the pilot grant. There is a particular field in kids where you mark either yes or no to indicate whether a student participates in the grant. And so the staff who are entering in that data need to know which students to mark as yes, because it's only the students who are participating in the pilot grant. There's also in your email an important survey for early childhood special education specialists and related staff. Our team is interested in reviewing and perhaps updating the curriculum-based assessments that are used for Indicator 7, which is preschool outcomes in our state performance plan. So we've asked for a short survey for you to share feedback as we're considering what might that look like in the future. That was sent out via email on Friday, April 23rd, and you can contact Julie Rand if you have any questions. There's a few other upcoming reports that are due. I'll talk about both the preschool aged at risk and the Kansas preschool pilot required end of year report that will be completed in Foundations for School Success this May in just a minute. For Kansas preschool pilot, your end of year Children's Initiatives Fund report will be due on May 11th, and you'll be receiving that via email. And for Kansas Parents as Teachers, your Parents as Teachers National Center Affiliate Performance Report is due on July 10th. Now, in regards to the end of year report for preschool, this is new this year. We waived this last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So this will be required for all preschool aged at risk programs and all Kansas preschool pilot grantees. So if you have a preschool aged at risk program or if you receive money from the Kansas preschool pilot, this needs to be on your to-do list for the month of May. These reports will be found in the Early Childhood Foundations for School Success authenticated web application. In the email that you've received from Natalie McLean, there are instructions for how to log in to KSDE authenticated applications and for how to request access to a new authenticated application. This is a process that can take a couple of business days as we wait for superintendent approval for the authenticated application. So if you are going to be entering this in and you are not the superintendent, you really want to hurry up and make sure that you have requested access to the Early Childhood Foundations for School Success authenticated application as soon as possible so that you can access the report. You'll be asked to share the following questions, and they're here on your screen. I'm not going to read them back to you. These are the same questions that were in the grant application last year and the program approval application. So you've already shared what tools you plan to use to measure progress from the beginning of the end to the year. We'll ask you how many total children were assessed in each of these areas, and we'll ask you of those children who were assessed between entry and exit, how many showed improvement in each of these areas. So it'll be really important that all of you fill this out. Kansas preschool pilot grantees will have two additional questions related to the number of children who participated in the Kansas preschool pilot grant and the number of staff who received professional development. As a reminder, the reason why these questions are important is because they allow us to report on the usefulness of these funds. So it is really important that everybody who receives these funds complete these questions so that we can continue to justify the need for preschool funding from these sources in the state of Kansas. As you log into the Early Childhood Foundations for School Success application, you'll find these surveys listed in the menu bar on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see that these are highlighted. There are two Kansas preschool pilot surveys, one for public schools, the top one, and one for entities that are not public schools, the second one. And then the pre-K at-risk survey is there, the third one that's listed. So if you receive preschool aged at-risk funding, everybody will need to complete that pre-K at-risk survey. And then if you also receive Kansas preschool pilot grant funding, you'll need to complete the Kansas preschool pilot survey as well. Those are due on May 31st. A couple of reminders that we covered last month in Early Childhood Hot Topics. There's a Kindergarten Readiness Snapshot short Hot Topics video that you can find on the Division of Learning Services website. The key dates that you need to be aware of, many of you have already applied to begin doing the Kindergarten Readiness Snapshot in the springtime. If you'd like to learn more about that process, you should watch the April Hot Topics video for more information, but you can still submit an application if you'd like to begin screening. Otherwise, July 1st is when the Kindergarten Readiness Snapshot window opens for districts that did not choose to apply to administer in the springtime. For everybody, the deadline to complete the ASQ is September 20th of next school year, and all data, including any pending family access screenings, must be entered into ASQ Online by October 11th of next year in order to be counted for your school's participation rate for the 2021 Kindergarten Readiness Snapshot. There's a bunch of additional information on the agesandstages.com/KS website, and if you have any questions, you should reach out to Jordan Christian, whose email is here on the screen. The best way to stay connected to our early childhood team is to email Becky Strom and join the Early Learning Listserv if you aren't already. You can also visit the KSDE Early Childhood website. You can do that by going to ksde.org and selecting E for Early Childhood. And right there at the top of the screen are our monthly early childhood program updates if you prefer to get your information in written form. Finally, we do always really appreciate the opportunity to visit with all of you. So whether you have a question or request for technical assistance or just a question or an idea that you'd like to think through together, please do feel really welcome to reach out to our team. We always appreciate the opportunity to visit with you. Thanks so much.